Marcy says, I feel like the primary emotion that surfaces so often is grief, and I feel frustrated about this. I don't know how to release it. How can it be there so consistently? Marcy, this is what showed up intuitively for me to say, take it for what it's worth. But I don't believe you've grieved without a condition. I believe you grieve with why is this happening? How long does this happen? That your grief isn't just allowed. It comes with, I'm controlling it. This shouldn't be. What is this? What's the condition? Why is this always happening to me? And there's a belief about grief. So grief keeps coming, but it's showing you this pattern that's with it, right? So I want to dare you to allow grief. You know, a lot of times I'll say to people, well, you need to be allowing yourself to be okay being alone for a while. And you know what they say? They go, oh, I've been alone for years. And I'm like, yeah, but you judged it. So it's not the same as just being in love with it, right? Your body is holding stuff and it would like to grieve, and it would like to grieve without judgment of it. It would like to grieve without the pattern that you learned from childhood that says you should be over this by now. Maybe that's what you're looking at. Maybe someone said get over it and you didn't believe that you were allowed to feel truly. But your grief is here. That's a fact. Take it in. What you feel, even though it's not the inevitable truth, when it's here and coming up, it's a fact that it's here. Right? So when a voice says you shouldn't be grieving, another voice goes, but I'm sad, but I'm feeling intense grief. A lot of us who grew up in times, and Marcy, I don't know your age, but a lot of us who grew up in places like the 80s or earlier grew up in a time that's more, okay, so 56. We grew up in a time, so 70s even, right? We grew up in a time where we learned a lot about building, right? Think about the entrepreneurial boom in the 80s and the 70s. There's people like building stuff. There's a lot of building stuff. So this energy might not be like, I don't grieve as much. This energy that you built, this childhood you, was not about grieving. It was about building, right? You know, you're coming out of the 40s and 50s and the conformity time then starts being this wild 60s time. Everyone's going through this stuff, building, building, building. So the story of Marcy in her tens and her teens is a building time. 90s too, right? Where I'm creating. We are in 2025 is the most grieving time ever, right? All this time is about is letting go. We even built through social media. Oh, I have 5,000 friends. On Facebook, I have thousands and thousands of friends. Now, more and more, we are not about how many numbers as much as a few quality friends or even just time alone, right? So what do we have to do? We have to let go of 5,000 friends. We have to go, why'd that person unfriend me? Why is this leaving? Why is this leaving? We've built. And the time we're in now is a taking stock of what truly can come with us and what needs to go. And almost all of us have a massive amount of what needs to go. We're in a grieving time. But if you were born in the 70s and you're growing time, you might have a character that says, this is not productive to cry. I need to be building. I need to be growing. I need to be making bigger because that's what I saw the world do. That's what I was taught by my parents who built their businesses in the 60s and 50s, whatever it was. And you're not realizing that the you that grew up in the first 20 years might need to go too. Oh my God, does that bring up a breakthrough that I had this weekend that you know about? I want to tell you guys a story that kind of fits this thing that I'm talking to with you, Marcy. I was in the pocket on Saturday. I felt the very best. Sunday, I was really good. And then I said, I want to watch, there's a movie out on John Candy. John Candy, I was going, John Candy's my hero. I love John Candy. He's so great. I watched the movie on the story of John Candy. It's called I Like Me. It's a beautiful movie in one way, but I'm also watching all these clips of my hero and all my favorite 80s movies that I watched with my dad. Then I'm also watching, and I'm not judging John Candy and the time he's in and who he was, him be really addicted and overeat and drink and do all this stuff. And then he died at 43. And his comedy was wonderful, but it comes from a really hurting heart that never truly got seen. And John Candy was a massive people pleaser. And I realized something really important. My child's hero is John Candy, but not mine. I love John Candy, but he's not my hero now. And if he was my hero, I would go back to being addicted and using comedy as a deflection from my soul. And sometimes you'll see that me. It showed up in some of the sketches I did recently. The me from 20 years ago, that guy, Bogey Lowenstein and 10 Things I Hate About You, the kid that played pickleball even with JP, that guy is the kid whose hero is John Candy. But as a 48-year-old man, as current me, my soul is seeking a different type of hero. It's seeking my masculine side. It's seeking adventure. It's seeking truth. It's seeking God. God's my hero. The now is my hero. And then I started realizing patterns. My boy's hero is a Mexican restaurant. My man's hero is presence and listening and just eating when I'm actually hungry and it's healthy food and being right. And you can start to see it's not fair to say it's like me to be this. It's like my pattern to be this. It's my boy. And so I disown the idea that John Candy is my current hero. He's my boy hero. And I do love John Candy, but that's not what I want to be. I'd be dead. And so what am I saying? The story of Marcy, the child of Marcy, meaning Marcy in childhood, maybe doesn't grieve like this, right? The child Marcy has got stuff to do, or whatever the story of Marcy in childhood was, and what she wants to be and what she needs to do. She's awesome, but she's not current Marcy. Current Marcy has a lot of grief. Current Marcy has a lot of sadness. Current Marcy needs to cry. And so we are here for current Marcy because in 2025, we are in a major time of releasing. Right? And it's up to us to honor what now me wants versus the story of, even when Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys died, Brian Wilson stopped being my current me's hero. Like, I was obsessed with the Beach Boys. And when Brian Wilson died, I cried out those chords. I actually felt them in the cells of my body. And I haven't listened to very many Beach Boys songs since then, unless Vivi requests it, because grown-up me is actually interested in new music. One thing Amber could tell you is when Amber started dating me, I wanted to show her all kinds of movies from childhood. Oh my God, I love this movie. You got to see Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You got to see Parenthood. I only want to see movies I haven't seen more and more and more. I want what I haven't experienced because I'm now not carrying the boy as much. I'm with the man. And why am I saying this? Because Marcy, the you now, the 56-year-old you in 2025 has grief. And it might be that the pattern says, this isn't like me to grieve. This isn't, no. It's not like childhood. In fact, ironically, current you might be trying to grieve the one that says, when do we get over this? In other words, it's trying to flush out childhood Marcy, and childhood Marcy is trying to stay here and being like, I think we've grieved enough. I think that we should stop now. How much more is this? I'm so tired of this, right? So what if I ask you what current you, for all of you, what's current you want versus childhood you? What's current you feel versus childhood you, right? My pattern, right, has a very different desire, taste buds, hearing, everything. My child me wants Amber to hear me. My man me wants to contain Amber so she can blossom in her soul. Do you see the difference? Child in me says, please hear me. Please give me attention. Please show me you love me. Man me goes, there's a God in that heart that is dying to express itself, and it's up to me to move into my power, become a safe space, and create a protection for that energy and for the energy of the world and Vivi to express while I move into my man and stop being the boy that's needy, right? So it's really big to decipher between the boy and the man and the girl and the woman. So Marcy said something. I want to see what it is real quick.
Yes, indeed. I'm not supposed to. I have things to accomplish, need to be of service, be self-realized.
I'm right. So isn't that funny? What if I told you, Marcy, you are self-realized, but your ego doesn't like that, so it's trying to chase self-realization, right? In other words, it's like, no, we're not, it has to be like, we're not there yet because I'm here to seek being self-realized. And I'm like, it's here. And it's like, nope. No, don't listen to that. I chase self-realization. I make it happen. And it's like, no, now. right? So if you would like to be self-realized, receive that you are, right? Receive that you're there and ask yourself, what's now me feel? And it might grieve the one who's seeking getting realized. It might go, it's not about even, see, even the kid wants to build and get to, now would like to remove what's in the way of the receiving of that you're there, which is a big cry out, a big release, and a big grief. That's actually your growth, to grieve and let the one that's trying to stop it, that puts conditions on it, that's trying to time how long you should or shouldn't grieve, it's trying to let that go. So I want to dare you to grieve her, right? Grieve the one who's trying to monitor your grieving, judging it, putting conditions on it, because she's in the way of the receiving of God. God is here with you, and God says you're sad, and I want you to listen to God and let it merge with you, because now you merges with God and take in the idea that maybe you're actually self-realized. All you have to do is accept it and connect to that field more than what your ego needs to do to get to that field. You're either connected to the field or what your ego says you have to do to get to the field. Let's just directly connect to the field. Sometimes the only problem that we're having is perspective. And if you would like your perspective changed about any situation that you're in, join us on Infinite Expansion. We're going to be doing a ton of Q&As in the next couple months. And if you'd like me to shift your perspective, join us, ask a question, and see what happens to your life.